Hey everybody, and welcome to Iron Vlog 190. We're really moving on. My name's Dylan Emiston. This is my journey to become Iron Man, and this right here is the finished pelvis, which is pretty fucking cool. So it is done. It's not 100% done. There's still some stuff that has to go onto it. Mostly the only thing I haven't really finished is these exomuscle anchors. There needs to be like 8 of them in the back. I just haven't added them yet. It's really not going to be that hard or big of a deal to add them. But I've essentially got the bulk of the stuff done. So I'm calling it good for now. There's a lot of stuff in here that I need to go finish. And when I'm saying these are done, there's still stuff I have to do to complete them, but they're mostly done. Enough for me to move on to the next part, which is important because then I'll get the entire suit done and be like, okay, good, I'm done. Then I can figure out how much money I need. I can start working on that and then kind of spend more of my time working to get the money to get it built, and then, in the background, get everything completely refined. That's kind of my plan for now. So these exomuscle anchors, you can see they rotate, they move, so they slide around, and that's so they always point the direction they're being pulled, so they don't end up putting a torque and kind of breaking the Kevlar that they're made out of. So there's that. Obviously, you can see I go into it. Let me show you how I put it on first to start with. There's going to be a bolt that goes there, and then a bolt that goes there, there, and then same on the other side, except there, and then there's also one that then these pieces right here will be like pushed in and then bolted in with the bolt hole. So this will go in, and there'll be a bunch of pins that come through here, and those are going to be made out of carbon fiber rod, and the reason for that is they're really high strength, and so they'll go in there, and that'll keep them from ripping apart because the steel is too strong. Oh, I'm sorry, the muscles are too strong and they'll break the aluminum. The aluminum's not strong enough to hold it. And the bolt is, well, actually it's not the aluminum, the part, it's the bolts. The bolt is not strong enough to hold it. So the bolt adds a clamping force, and then all the pins will hold it together. So those go on, those go on, those go on, those go on. So they get placed in there and then bolted in. And then the same thing will occur on the back. Most likely those things actually line up, so I could actually maybe hold these in some way. A little bit better. I don't know. There's a couple of ways to do it, but essentially the same thing on the back will be about 8 of those, and each of those will take a bolt as well. So there's about there's 6 bolts to put it on, and then something like around 30-ish bolts, 30 to 32 bolts to put the all the exomuscle anchors on, which really locks everything together too. So there's these small bolts that kind of, well, they're all the same size bolt, but there's a couple of these bolts that kind of hold it together, and then a bunch of bolts that kind of clamp everything down really hard. And then those essentially clamp the deep exoskeleton to the superficial exoskeleton and put those things together really well. So they'll be really well bounded together, which is awesome. So let me show you how the joint, there's only one joint in here, but there's one that moves this way, and you can see that comes all the way down like that. And then there's one on the other side as well that comes down. Oops. And this one right here, so that one like that. So those both allow you to bring your legs up and down like doing the splits, or to sidestep over if you needed to put your foot in front of the other if you're walking like a ninja. That's how ninjas walk. A little bit sneakier. It's actually kind of how people walk in general, but you get the idea. That allows for that motion that way. So you'll see that this skirt, so I call it, not very manly thing to call it, but this skirt that goes here will cover up those parts there and add a lot of structure there. Now you're looking at this thing, and this thing looks all spindly and stupid. That's not strong. That doesn't look like Iron Man. Well, there's going to be sheet metal that's going to be cold forged, so with a hammer, just kind of pound it out and place into here and then weld it into the spot. So this entire thing is made out of a sheet of solid aluminum, and then it will be water jet cut and then welded together with a TIG welder that I own. So I have a bunch of videos on TIG welding if you're interested in those. I'm building a cart for it right now. But those will all go together, and it'll weld down and be a lot fuller than it looks currently. So this in here will all be covered. This in here will all be covered. There'll be another part that comes and covers this part in here. This part's kind of interesting. All these things here, these channels, these are channels for the exomuscle. So the exomuscle, well, they're actually kind of designed right now to where the belly would go through here. But actually what would probably happen is, because that makes a really sharp corner there, unless I figure out a way to cut that out or make it not as aggressive, what will probably happen is the belly is going to be confined to this point in here, like this. And then and there's one tendon here, so you can see this smaller gap is for a tendon, but the muscle bellies are probably going to be just in here. So really they could all be this thin and just kind of spaced just for the tendon, but this is a fine way to do it. So, and then it gives me the option, if I really wanted to go and try to put the belly wrapping all the way around, which would be nice because it would give a lot more room for the belly. The way this is for here, I mean, this is not very long. Like from here to like right about there would be like one of the longer points. It's about 6 inches. I mean, it's only about like that far. That's not very big, and right now, the ends of each of my muscles, as they're designed and working right now, are about 3 inches. 3 inches, so there's essentially no muscle belly. So, and they need to be pretty long because you need a lot of contraction out of them. You need more linear contraction out of them to actually get them to be useful. So, as they are right now, to fit in this spot where they are, they need to be made a lot more compact than they currently are, which is a lot more engineering work on my part, and might be possible, might not be. As I said last episode, this is one of the hardest parts to actually fit the muscles. So it's going to be like the longest shot. So essentially, what my goal is on this is I'm taking like an iterative approach to how I'm going to build this. So I'm building out the suit, all the framing, and then all the anchors for the exomuscles. That's all I'm designing to start with. I don't have the power units for the exomuscles. I don't really have the exomuscles completely designed. I have built some of them. You can go watch them, but they only work for about 300 cycles, and then they break. So I actually have to find a new internal elastomer bladder for those things, which I don't have right now, and so I got to figure that out if this is going to work. So that's an if, and then I want to make it fly. That's also a thing I need to work on. So there's a lot of stuff with that, and how that's going to go together. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of ifs on this, but right now I'm just trying to build. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build the suit, and then I'm going to sew the inside layer. So there's going to be an internal. So underneath all this, there's going to be an internal aluminized Kevlar base layer that's very highly flame retardant, which is great in case this thing catches fire while I'm flying in it, which is possible because I got a lot of oxidizer and a lot of fuel on it, so it is possible for something to catch fire. So there's a flame retardant thing that should hopefully keep me from catching fire. Good news. If such a terrible thing were to happen, there's a metal ring that hooks into the helmet. So the helmet is like, I'll be in the helmet. I'll have my like head free in the helmet, but there's like a metal ring that comes up and attaches into the helmet, and then everything else below that is going to be Kevlar. So there'll be a Kevlar base layer, and then so I'm going to build the Kevlar base layer, and then I'm going to obviously weld together all this, all the framing stuff for the entire suit, and then lastly, I'll build these silicone supports for my body that'll touch my body and actually be the median between my body and the suit. So those will be 3D printed molds that I pour silicone into, and then I put them on. And those are actually how it interfaces into here. And another thing, like when I said this is done, it's not entirely done because I also have to go and put a bunch of bolt holes in this and decide how I'm going to put the foam on the inside the silicone support. There might actually be a little bit of foam, but I don't want to use a whole lot of foam. I really don't want to use flammable materials, so I might try to find a flame retardant silicone if I can. I'm not sure if such a thing exists. We'll have to see what Smooth On has to offer, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's kind of what I'm thinking. This is looking really good. I'm pretty fucking happy with this. I'm really excited to get this done. There is one more part of the torso, or the trunk rather, that needs to be done, and that's the torso. So after that, I'm moving on to the arms and the legs, which is a big deal because the trunk is the more complicated stuff. I'm aware these videos have been kind of shorter videos, not a whole lot of exciting stuff. There's not a whole lot of motion in the pelvis, though it is a fairly complicated file to get figured out. Torso is the most complicated file. I've already tried attempt 1 on the torso, so I'll be moving on to attempt 2 because I just didn't really like the way the attempt 1 came out. It was the first file I made for the final draft, which is draft 5. So it's okay. I don't mind redoing the first attempt. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to redo that. I'm going to start that tomorrow and bang that out the next few days. And then, like I said, I'm done with the trunk after that. And that's really fucking cool. It's really all going to start to come together after that. Pretty exciting, guys. Come back tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have even cooler shit to show you guys. And we'll get more of these things crossed off as we need to in order to get this thing built. And then I'm going to build it. Then I'm going to build it. It's going to be so fucking cool. I'm getting really excited. If you can't tell, I'm getting pretty fucking excited for it. It's getting closer. It's awesome. You guys are great. I love you guys. If you're not subscribed and you're watching this, why? Subscribe. Love you guys. Have a good one.